which is, I believe in this Web3 technology world. So where do you allocate? Bitcoin or ETH? It's going to be ETH. So I'm going to make it easy for people. Everything is about supply and demand, right? The more supply there is, the cheaper it is. The more demand there is, if supply is stable, the more expensive it gets, which is why we've had the problem with prices, because there wasn't supply of oil, but there was demand as everybody came out of pandemic. So what have we got going on in ETH? We've got a gigantic supply shock. So what is the supply shock? The small supply shock is right now, every day, miners are selling ETH. They probably sell 80% of everything they receive because they need to pay for their cash flows and their electricity and all of this stuff. So they stop. That's about 1 or 2 billion a month. Okay, that's nice. But then after that, we've also got the fact that staking is coming. Mm-hmm. Currently, there's about 9% of all ETH staked. Now, estimates are it should go up to around 30%. What does that mean? It means 30% of the ETH comes off exchanges, comes out of DeFi, comes out of CeFi, and is untouchable. Yep. Right? You're removing a gigantic amount of supply from the market, and it's locked for a year. So you can't do anything about it. Yes, you can trade using wrapped, staked ETH and stuff like that, but it's not the same thing. So you've got this. So you're taking that out of the market. So you've got a huge supply shock. On the other side, you've got a massive demand shock, which is, firstly, a lot of institutions wrongly didn't like Bitcoin because of ESG concerns. Proof of stake gets rid of that. Additionally, it now has a yield. So that's something that institutions love, is a yield. So now you need to make one asset allocation decision, which is, I believe in this Web3 technology world. So where do you allocate? Bitcoin or ETH? It's going to be ETH. Why? Because you're going to get something between a 6 and a 10% yield.
That's right.
So that's extraordinary. Yep. And you've got this deflationary issue of burning the tokens based on network activity. So that's another massive supply shock. So there's less ETH around every year. It's getting locked up. And you've got no miners. Put against this massive demand shock, and we've got the macro cycle turning. I look at this and think, holy shit, this is a massively imbalanced supply and demand situation.
Yeah. I mean, we shouldn't underestimate the complexity of what's happening right now. I mean, it's like, as a techie, I can tell you, it's like the best example I could give you would be like changing the engines for an airplane mid-flight without landing. And
with a new technology. With a new technology.
Right. With a new, relatively unproven technology underpinning the engines that you're replacing the old engines with. And so it's pretty clear to say that, well, they've admitted it 100 times now, that they've all underestimated, the entire developer community underestimated the complexity of this. And this is just one upgrade of a few to come, because we haven't gotten into sharding and other things that actually provide massive scalability to the network. But it appears to be working, and they've done it right, which is part of why I'm so incredibly bullish on Ethereum right now, and this is something that we've talked about here on Money Talks many times. Do you view? Well, it sounds like you view Bitcoin very differently, and you've alluded to why. Do you hold Bitcoin still?
Barely, which I know everybody hates, right? Barely, not because